This is a market update for the Central Oklahoma region for the week of July 1st, 2024. My name is Ben. I'm a real estate advisor in the Oklahoma City metro area, serving Oklahoma City and the surrounding suburbs. And my team and I love helping people just like you find their next home or their dream home right here in the Oklahoma City metro. If you've been thinking about buying or selling a home in this area, we'd love to help. You can find all of my contact information down in the description below. Go ahead and give me a call or send me a text or an email, and let's have a conversation to see if we'd be a good fit to work together. Now let's dive into the data and take a look at the numbers for the Oklahoma City real estate market right now. We're going to begin by looking at the average sales price in the Oklahoma City metro area. And at the time of this recording, that average price is $324,523. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm recording this in early July, and we are at the peak of the summer market right now. Things are hot, things are moving and shaking, and you can see that reflected in the average sales price right now, which is the highest it's been in the Oklahoma City metro. This average price is up from the previous month by about $23,000 or so. You can see that the previous month, the average sales price was $301,503. So we've got an increase of just about $23,000 month over month as we are in the heat of this summer market. Now let's shift our attention to the percentage of list price received. And this data is showing us how much of their asking price are sellers getting on average when they sell their home. And at the time of this recording, that number is 98.2%. Now, we can see that that number is down from April, where it was at 98.5%. And if we go all the way back to May of 2022, it was over 100%. So you can see that over the last 2 years, that number has been slowly decreasing. And I think there are a couple of reasons for that reality. One is that the higher interest rate environment we've been in has slowed down some buyers. There is a ton of pent-up buyer demand, people who want to buy a home but are waiting for interest rates to come down. The other reality is that inventory has been slowly creeping up. And when there's more supply in the market, buyers have a little bit more of a competitive advantage. So we're going to take a look at the inventory numbers next. This chart is showing us the month's supply of inventory. And this is an indicator of whether we are in a buyer's market or a seller's market. Now, an equilibrium, if you will, is typically considered 5 to 6 months of inventory supply. When we see 5 to 6 months of housing inventory, then neither buyers nor sellers are in control, and it's considered a balanced market. We've been in a seller's market for a while now because of the low inventory as a result of the supply chain shock that we experienced during the pandemic. However, as I mentioned a moment ago, inventory has been slowly increasing. And so we're beginning to see a softening in that seller's market, although it is technically still a seller's market. Now, I've switched the timeline, the time horizon on this chart from monthly, which is what we were looking at on the previous 2 data points, to annually. I did this in order to give us a broader picture of what the inventory has been doing. And so at the time of this recording, the month's supply of inventory is 2.7. Now that is still on the low side. That is still considered a seller's market. However, if we go all the way back to January of 2022, and even all the way through April of 2022, we had 1 month's supply of inventory. And if you remember from our previous data point, when we were looking at percentage of list price received, it was around this time that sellers were getting more than their asking price. They were selling for over list price. And that is in part a result of the very low inventory we had at the time. Now, as inventory does continue to rise and reach a more healthy level, we're going to see that seller's market soften even further. And that leads us into the next data point we're going to look at, which is the number of days on market. We're now taking a look at the average days on market in the Oklahoma City metro area. And you might notice that this chart looks very similar to the inventory chart that we just looked at. And that's because those 2 data points are directly correlated. When we have more inventory, then buyers have more options to choose from, and so homes tend to sit on the market longer. So the average days on market at the time of this recording is 40, and that is up from 39 in March and April of this year. And you can see that all the way at the beginning of the year in January, we were sitting at around 38 days on market. But if we go back to the low point here in June of 2022, which you remember was right around the time that sellers were getting over asking price on average. They were getting 101% of their asking price. Back in June of 2022, the average days on market was 20 in the Oklahoma City metro. So homes were moving about twice as fast back then as they are today. Now again, some of that is related to the amount of supply that's in the market. It's also connected to the interest rates, which we're going to take a look at next. Shifting our attention now to interest rates, we can see that the 30-year fixed mortgage interest rate is currently sitting at just over 7%, 7.08%. The 30-year FHA mortgage loan is at 6.55%, and the 30-year VA is at 6.57%. Now, a lot of pundits, a lot of economic experts thought that we would have seen some interest rate cuts by this time in 2024. However, that has not happened, largely due to inflation and the Federal Reserve trying to get that under control by keeping interest rates at a higher level. Now, I don't think we're going to return to the interest rate environment that we saw in 2020, where if you look at the chart here, we got interest rates all the way down into the twos. Those were artificially lowered rates in order to stimulate spending in our economy during a global pandemic. And interest rates have since corrected to more quote unquote normal levels. Some of the data that I've seen recently is suggesting that it could be well into 2025 before we see meaningful interest rate cuts from the Federal Reserve. And when that happens, it's likely that all of the pent-up demand from buyers who've been waiting on that to happen is going to flood into the market, and it's going to encounter that low inventory that we looked at a moment ago. And what happens when we have more demand than we have supply? Well, usually the price goes up. And so I think it's very possible that when we do see interest rate cuts, we're also going to see the price of homes increase. Now, there are some things we can do with a great mortgage lender right now to actually lower the interest rate. If you were to buy a home right now, we have some options for 2-1 buy downs or 3-2-1 buy downs where you can literally buy down points on your interest rate. And those can be great options to explore if you're considering buying a home. And if you'd like to learn more about interest rate buy downs or what it looks like to buy a home in the Oklahoma City market right now, I'd love to help with that. All of my contact information is down below. Let's have a conversation and see if we'd be a good fit to work together. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the Oklahoma City area, this next video is going to give you more information on the real estate market in this area.